very well and good to think that we can establish where areas of high priority are in the ocean when actually we've only seen maybe 5%. And we haven't even looked at the ocean itself, which is the juicy part from the bottom to the surface. And it's interesting that the fishermen, again, are calling the shots and saying, we can't let you have the top part, that's ours. Who makes these rules? As Charles Clover has pointed out in his book, The End of the Line, we have allowed the fishermen to steal the ocean, to set the rules. But they have, and it's happened in our lifetime, especially for the high seas, because there is no tradition, except for some whaling. It goes back more than about 50 years in the high seas, and yet we all bow down and say, the fishermen, we have to take care of the fishermen. Why? I heard the president of the World Bank at the conference that took place in Singapore in February point out that industrial fishing, not the traditional fishing, industrial fishing, actually is a losing proposition globally to the tune of $5 billion a year, in spite of the fact that we are subsidizing fishing something between 25 and $50 billion a year. And even so, even though fish are free, fishermen don't have to plant the fish, they don't have to feed the fish, they don't have to pay tax on the ocean, they have to buy boats, but they're subsidized by, whatever it is. Countries subsidize the fishing fleets to go out and take what, in the high seas, if it belongs to anybody, it belongs to everyone. And yet we are disproportionately giving to a small fraction of the world, to mostly industrial interests, not talking about local fishermen and livelihoods or traditions. We're talking about a part of the ocean that we have only begun to access since the middle of the 20th century in a serious way. And it certainly does not include Antarctica. We couldn't get there until recent years, or the Arctic, where it's only accessible on our watch. So are we going to really make it okay to just give away something that belongs to everyone? Or are we going to take more seriously the one chance that humankind now has to be proactive and precautionary, and to think really on a scale that will do the job of protecting our life support system? It's not just about taking fish or minerals or oil or gas. It's about protecting the systems that keep us alive. And that has to be, it seems to me, and not to me, just we're there. We're looking at an ocean that is changing, and we have the power to stabilize things through our actions or by giving it away. I don't know what the answers are, but I think the answers are in the minds and hearts of the people who are here. I just hope that we can elevate this conversation beyond thinking small, and that we can really think and act on a scale that would really make a difference, that would really secure something that every one of us has a vested interest in. It is not just industry. It is every human who may or may not even know that they have a claim as to the global commons, the way we have a claim to the air, we have a claim to the high seas. We need to exercise that claim. We're living ocean, not just one that we're using, as we have all of the land up until now. We've been taken. We now have to be thoughtful about maintaining what keeps us alive.
So in many ways, what you're saying is the high seas are the cultural heritage of us all. You would put it that way. Dan?
Yeah, I kind of want to tell you something which is happening in about 45 minutes for me. I'll have to leave here to go to a press conference on something we're going to launch, which I think is particularly important and relevant in relation to what Sylvia said. So Sylvia's mentioned, they're saying you can have the bottom bit, we'll take the top net and fish, and there's what's an MPA and things like that. Well, today, in about 45 minutes, with the press, we'll launch some new guidance on marine protected areas, and this is specifically designed to deal with these issues. So in this guidance, we are going to, and this goes into the best practice guidance